Hey everybody, Jennifer here from Stone Studio. Today we're going to talk about wedging. So there are three main ways you can wedge, and this video is going to be about the ram's head wedging, which is by far the most popular. Great place to start if you're a beginner. So let's dive right in. First things first, we're going to cut some clay off the bag. Give that a slice. Now we probably don't want that much, so I'll cut this guy in half. And we'll start with about that much, was probably just over 1 kilo or so. The first thing you'll want to do is to make sure the clay is in some sort of little rectangle or little cube shape, which we've already got. You can achieve this just by kind of banging it down into the shape that you want. Now, it's also important to work on a surface that is nice and porous. So I'm using cement sheeting. You can just buy it from Bunnings. You could use wood or a slab of plaster. You just want something that's nice and porous so that the clay doesn't stick to it as you're doing your wedging. Now, to do the ram's head, you're gonna line up that little block of clay in front of you. You're going to put your palms of your hand on either side, and you're going to put your thumbs on top. Now it's a in, down, and away motion. So I'm pushing in with the palms of my hands, and then I'm pushing down and away with my thumbs. You also want to make sure you're working on a table that's not too high, because you want to get a little bit of leverage and use your body weight to wedge the clay. So here we go. In, down, and away. We're then going to use our thumbs to roll up the clay, and we're going to hop our hands back into position and do it again. So in, down, and away, roll up, in, down, and away. Now, this should start to feel like a rocking motion. In, down, and away. And once you start to do this a few times, you will start to get the ram's head. So notice, we've got the eyeballs, we've got the nose. Most importantly, we're starting to see the little horns transform. So that's an indication that you're doing it properly once you start to see the face come into formation. So in, down, away, in, down, away. Now, why are we wedging? Well, the main reason we're wedging is to just get the clay into a really beautiful consistency. So it's been sitting in this bag for a while. It's possible that the outside edges of the clay have started to harden and the inside is still soft. It's possible that it's maybe a little bit lumpy. It's possible that maybe there's some little air pockets inside the clay. So by wedging it, what you're doing is you're getting all the clay particles moving in the same direction. You're mixing the clay to a beautiful, even consistency. And by doing this, it's just going to make throwing so much easier once you sit down on the wheel. You might be wondering, how many times do I need to wedge the clay? Well, roughly, if you're using clay just directly out of the bag, usually that clay is completely de-aired and fairly well mixed. So I would say about 30 times to be safe. And you're mostly just kind of waking the clay up and getting it all moving in the same direction. It's a bit of a different story if you're recycling your clay. If you are recycling your clay scraps, you're probably going to want to do it at least 100 times. So I'll just do this one a few more times, kind of get into that rocking motion. In, so that the horns don't start to spread out. Down and away. It's also important that you don't use too much pressure. You don't want your ram to look like he got hit by a car. So see how deep these eye sockets are? That is too much pressure. Because what can happen is when you roll him up, you can really easily fold the clay over and actually trap air inside of those really deep eye sockets, which you don't want. We're trying to get the air out of the clay, not introduce new air. So that's something to keep in mind. You don't want to be doing too much pressure. The eye sockets do not need to be overly deep. So let's just give this guy a quick little wedge and finish him up. Now, once you've wedged sufficiently, the last step is we are going to roll him up one last time so he's on his chin, and then we're just going to keep rolling him towards our belly button. And we're going to basically roll him some downward pressure into a little sausage, flick him up, and now we are good to throw it on the wheel. And that's the ram's head wedge.